Declan Rice is the talk of the town, and everybody wants to sign him, but only a few can, because he's very expensive. But why? And why would he suit Arsenal in particular? Let's find out. Well, one of the first reasons is that Declan Rice is one of the best players at breaking up opposition attacks in the entire of the Europe. Here is Declan Rice, this little yellow ball here. Now, these are recoveries per 90, winning the ball back an awful lot over here. These are passes into the final third per 90, so passing obviously. And what you get is players like Frenkie de Jong, Busquets, Marco Verratti, very neat and tidy players playing for possession-based teams. They're doing that sort of thing an awful lot. Thomas Partey is kind of in between them over here, which is interesting. Joshua Kimmich as well. But what Declan Rice does really well is win the ball back a lot and then carries it. He drives with the ball to turn a defensive move into an attacking one. So how does he read the play so well? What's he actually doing that makes him so good at this? Well, he does it through top level reading of the game. This is what Rice is amazing at. Anticipation, timing, decision making. That's what he does really well. So when West Ham play, it's often a 4-2-3-1 like this. He plays as one of 2 8s alongside Souček, maybe it's 2 6s, doesn't really matter. But Souček might push up a little bit next to Paquetá. And what Rice does is form one of these defensive triangles for passing to build up from the back. He's amazing at moving into space. He never hides away from the ball, always able to receive the pass when they're trying to build from this sort of position. And from there he can turn and drive. But the real thing he does is break up play. That's what helps West Ham an awful lot. So if West Ham are in their attacking shape, the wingers move from wide inside the pitch to become inside forwards like this. Then you get Souček and Paquetá might help out behind them. Rice will join in occasionally, but what he really does is patrol this sort of area in the space to make sure that no counterattacks can get through. He's amazing at breaking up these sorts of plays. So say West Ham are then building up a move, he goes to Bowen, he waits for the overlap from Kehrer, for example, puts it out here. Kehrer puts in a cross, maybe it's headed away, something like that. Now this team in the white, they can break, and Rice is the one who's defending this part of the pitch. His job is to make sure they don't get very far. This is what he does really well. So in transition, what you're going to get is that these defensive players have to get back to help defend. So there's the full-backs and the centre-backs here. Rice patrols the area. Now this team are going to want to break. So the left winger's going to want to go, centre midfielder wants to go, everyone wants to try and break. And Rice, what he does really well is waits patiently for the right time to pounce and kill his prey. That's what he does. So say the ball goes out to this lad here. Now the centre midfielder is going to want to run into this space. And it's kind of deliberate ploy by Rice, because as his teammates start to push back to get back into position, what Rice does really well is just waits and waits and waits, blocks off the pass to this sort of forward in this hypothetical example. The centre midfielder will carry the ball into here because Rice is leaving this space for him. He stands just off him so that the ball can't go into the striker, and then the centre midfielder can't move into this position, so he has to go here. Now Rice is doing this on purpose because he reads the game really well. So as the player gets to this sort of bit of the pitch, Rice is blocked off the centre. He then goes in to pounce and will win the ball back with a crunching tackle, takes him out, and then he drives. And that's when Rice can turn this defensive move into an attacking one and get West Ham up the pitch. And he can do this because he reads the game so well. This is hard to teach. This is something that seems innate to Rice. In the same way that he seems to always know where to go and be available for a pass, when he's defending out of possession, he seems to know where to lead players naturally, anticipates where the space is, like he's locked into the matrix, and then wins it back. And he does this often. It leads to loads of chances for West Ham to score. So this is an example of him against Liverpool earlier in the season. So you've got Mohamed Salah is got on the ball over here. You see Declan Rice is this player here, and he's protecting the two centre-backs, always looking after the defence. That's what his job is as the 6 in this situation. Now what happens here is rather than engaging Salah when he moves into this area here, his teammate, or I think it's Souček, dives in and wins the tackle. But Rice is positioned perfectly regardless of what happens. So if Salah comes inside here, he can engage and win the ball back himself. If the ball bounces loose or he turns this way, Rice can engage. He's reading everything with good positioning and timing, just reading the game really well. And as it turns out, Souček does win the ball, a little slide tackle in there. Rice reads it and then pounces and off he goes. He's really fast to accelerate and he carries it, and he just goes beyond Liverpool's midfield, who are now chasing him in a real race. So he gets well beyond. He's so fast he can get beyond Fabinho, who's the last midfielder, and then he can slow down a bit, look up for the pass. This guy's trying to get in behind as well. He can slow down a little bit, and once Fabinho's close, then he releases the pass. That's what he does. And if he doesn't release the pass, what he has done also in the past is just drive himself all the way into the opposition box and score. He did it in Europe recently, just dribbled from his own half, well past all the players, driving it. He's deceptively quick and powerful, then gets to the opposition box and finishes. He's really good at that sort of thing. Because this is what you get from Declan Rice. He's not just a player who sits and wins the ball back and passes it and waits for everyone else to go. He is the dynamic action man. That's what he does. He wins the ball, then turns it into something else. And you can see it. He's one of the most progressive carriers of the ball in the entire Premier League. So this is a list of players' progressive carries in the Premier League this season. And as you can see, Declan Rice is at the bottom here, but all the players above him are dribbly wingers or forwards all like really clever players up here. Mitoma, Martinelli, Grealish, Saka, all wingers. That's what you've got here. You get down to someone like Kevin De Bruyne, sure enough, but he's an exceptional player and an attacking midfielder. Then you come down here to Joe Willock, sure enough, bit of an exception. Maybe Bernardo Silva you could include, but the point being, all these are fullbacks, wingers, or wide players who have to take on players to dribble past them to progress play. Declan Rice drives through the middle as a defensive midfielder. This is what you get in a player who can break up the play in midfield and help you win the ball back, but then also drive and get past players to break lines rather than passing and being static in a dynamic way. So why would you suit Arsenal in particular? Why have we chosen them and not Chelsea or Man City or someone like that? Well, let's look at how they play, and this is what Arteta's Arsenal looked like this season. It might change next season, which is also relevant. Now, the players he's most likely to replace if he were to sign for them, he might not remember, are Thomas Partey as a 6, or Granit Xhaka as one of these 2 8s alongside Odegaard. Now, Rice is kind of in between both of them stylistically. He can make all the same sort of passes as Xhaka, long, short, you can play these long switch passes, you can hit it over the top if he needs to, but he's very comfortable at playing short, little neat and tidy passes to progress play that way. But what you get from Thomas Partey is a player who's very good at being the number 6, helping with build-up. He also likes to carry the ball rather than just pinging passes. But Partey doesn't have the same kind of drive and power that Declan Rice does. So that's kind of what you get. You get 2 players for the price of 1. You get the player who can help with the link-up play as a 6, but take Xhaka out. What you've got is a player who can do both the box-to-box number 8 stuff in a different way to Xhaka rather than passing. He carries it. Or you can also get a player who drops alongside Partey to help with this double pivot role when they're trying to build up in different ways. And if you think about how Arsenal attack as well, it's also relevant. So we'll push them up into attacking shape. Now we know Arsenal did this 2-3-5 thing this season where Zinchenko comes inside, White's maybe there for a bit and then overlaps Saka at certain points. So you get your front 5 alongside Odegaard like this. And Xhaka has been over in this position here. Now Rice is a different kind of player. He tends to be a bit deeper in West Ham build-ups, really good in transition. So in these sorts of situations, he'll be neat and tidy, but he's not David Silva. That's not what he is. He's not a technical player like that. He's a good footballer, but not like that. But what Rice will do is give you options. So rather than always playing the same way we know Arsenal have been doing, this 2-3-5 shape like this with Zinchenko inside, he gives you the chance to do different things and more rotations to have a bit of unpredictability in your approach play in the final third. So we know Zinchenko's here. What if Zinchenko goes out wide here to overlap and Martinelli comes into this half space here? Then Rice can drop in here and he'll read the play well without being told to do it, to know when to cover this bit. Then he looks after these parts of the pitch, so you've got a lot of protection from this middle 3 here still, with Zinchenko out wide, or Tierney, whoever's there. You've got the option to play a wide fullback to get your width that way, playing Martinelli closer to Jesus and these sorts of players like that. So that's one option. But if they are in this 2-3-5 shape they've been using with Zinchenko inside as one of the midfielders, what Rice can do differently to Xhaka is carry it past people. So Xhaka can break lines by passing a through ball in. That's what Xhaka's really good at, short passes, controlling the tempo. What Rice can do is receive the ball maybe on the turn or from Martinelli from wide and then try and deceive a defender and drive and drag the ball past them to create a chance just from running, something that Arsenal don't have from Xhaka. That's not what he can do. Rice can do that sort of thing. And if he does lose the ball on these little runs, right, the ball bounces loose, the other team can counter-attack them, but because of that defensive shape that they've built, Zinchenko steps in, the ball goes forward and Zinchenko wins the ball. So they've still got that counter-attack defended against. This is the whole thing, is defending against teams in transition. And if you go even deeper in the pitch, you see exactly where this could then really help them out. Say this white team here is trying to counter-attack or just build up attack the way it normally would, right? So the difference with Xhaka and Rice here is that Xhaka wouldn't be able to get back into this position as quickly as Rice does. Rice is a bit faster, just more mobile generally. So that's what you get, is someone who can help with the defensive side of the game. But as we know, if this team is attacking here and Xhaka's out of the game, they're going to go in this kind of run, carry it forward. Rice is going to lead them, show them somewhere he wants them to go, towards a little cul-de-sac, and then he goes in, pounces, and carries it. And suddenly you've got a really good counter-attack with all these players breaking, because Rice is one of these players, the very few players in the world as a defensive midfielder who can turn defense into attack with the ball himself and become a defender and an attacker within seconds. But it's not just that he carries the ball really well, he's also just a generally good footballer and can pass it. He's got a great range of passing. This is one game from the season against Crystal Palace, and the range of passing is why this one's relevant. You can see the amount of switch, like long passes to try and switch the play and change the direction of play, to also lots of short passes around small areas of the pitch to help link build up. He's moving all around the pitch, wherever he's needed, because he reads the play really well. Like I said, he's kind of locked into this matrix, knowing where to be. It's very hard to teach this, but Rice is always there looking after stuff, always having his hand up, looking for the ball. Because that's why everyone really wants Declan Rice. He's a great character. He's a good footballer, but he's a great character. He's a leader. You need them on the pitch. He's 24. He's captain of West Ham at that age. That's really important as well. He's a nice lad. Never underestimate how important a nice lad is to a dressing room. He's not going to go into whichever club he signs for and upset anyone. He's there because he's ambitious, determined, and he's got aggression, but controlled aggression. He won't do anything menacing to anyone. He'll win the ball back hard within the rules of the game, and that's also really important. And as well as that, he's also almost always available to play games. Over the last 3 or 4 seasons at West Ham, he's played almost every single game for them. He's never injured. He always keeps himself fit. So either he's a top professional, eating all the right things and drinking all the right juices, or he is a player who is just naturally fit and able to do the things he wants to do. But clearly, this is a very professional player, ambitious, determined, a leader, never shies away from looking for the ball, even when teams are trying to stop him being able to play, and he helps you win games and win the ball back. That's what he does really well. And you might wonder why he's worth 100 million or 150 million, because sometimes he looks kind of blocky when he plays, as in, there's players like David Silva or Jack Grealish. They look like smooth, tricky players who are like FIFA 23 kind of players, very smooth and nice to watch. Whereas Declan Rice kind of turns like he's on a D-pad, like he's ISS 98. And this is what you get from Rice. He's a player who looks kind of old school. He has the sensibilities of an old school player and moves in a strange kind of way, but it's deceptive. It's deceptive power, speed, aggression. He's got all of that in there. So you combine all these things. A player who's one of the best ball winners in all of the Europe, a player who can then turn that into an attack instantly by carrying it through lines, a player who knows when to sit back and pass around when you need, or switch the play. He's got everything you want of a midfielder. He gave Arsenal particularly the option to play him as a 6 or an 8 or as both in the same team, to give you more options in attack and defence. He would make any team better. And that's why Declan Rice is worth so much money, everyone wants to sign him, and why in particular he would suit Arsenal.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.